Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's guest, we have Quadir Al-Amin, the Muslim imam here in San Francisco. This man is a well-respected man in San Francisco, matter of fact, around the world. And it's an honor to have him in the show tonight, in the studio tonight. And I want to bring him on and talk with him a little bit. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Glad to be here, my brother.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the show.
That's right.
I think this is your second time on the show.
Second or third?
Yeah. Second, yeah. It's been a while. I think it's the third.
I think it's the third.
I think it's the third.
Right.
But welcome back to the show. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, glad to be
And,
here.
and as I say, I give you a lot of respect because your name is a name in our community, and it's to be respected, and you have that for me. Yeah, yes.
I consider myself a beneficiary
Yes.
of the community of Muslims in America
Okay.
who have greatly impacted my life and helping me to transform from the bad circumstances I
Right.
found myself in when
Right.
I became a Muslim
Right.
until today. So
Right.
I consider myself a beneficiary
Yes.
of all of those who went before me,
Right.
offering services to people who found themselves in fallen human
Right.
condition.
Right. Now, I tell people that this show that we have here is a show for formerly incarcerated.
Yes.
You know, I bring on my show people that's been in the system for long periods of time,
Yes.
and they've been able to, by the grace, to be found suitable and come back home in the community.
Yes.
And so I bring people on my show to let the community know who we are, who we once were,
Yes.
you know, what changes during our incarceration, who we are now, and what our future goals are.
Yes.
You know, so I bring you on the show because I want to know,
Right.
I want people to know who you are,
Yes.
where you been,
Right.
what you're doing, and my goodness, the work that you are doing. You
Right.
know, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Certainly.
Okay, your plight started years ago.
Yes.
Okay, and you were formerly incarcerated,
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
and you were on death row actually.
Yes. Prior to going to death row, I was in the juvenile justice system.
Okay.
And unfortunately for people who live in a certain socioeconomic strata, that's a part of the plan the larger society has for managing certain people's lives. So as a juvenile, I got caught up in the juvenile justice system. I remember one day when I was in the 8th grade, 18 of us from a particular neighborhood, we were stopped when we got to school and taken into the principal's office. There were 2 police cars there, and one kid out of the 18 had a pellet gun, a BB gun, and they put all 18 of us on probation with the thought, this is what our parents thought, that it would keep us out of trouble because the probation officer was a well-respected member of our community. You know, we knew him, we respected him, but what it did, it actually put us in the system.
Sure.
So now I'm on probation. I'm on probation because I lived in a particular neighborhood, happened to get to school with a group from the same neighborhood. They put all of us on probation, never went to trial, never got charged with a crime, but now we're on probation.
Yeah.
So I got into some disagreements with my father. Maybe 6 months later, I'm on probation. He puts me out the house. Now I'm in violation of probation because I don't have nowhere to live.
Wow.
So I ended up doing 9 months. And as a result of that, I became bitter. I'll say angry.
Sure.
And I was angry with the system. I was angry with my parents. And it kind of pushed me in a different direction. And then later on, I ended up in the California Youth Authority as a result of my own actions. No, I'm not blaming anybody else for
Right,
that. That was
right.
my decisions, my poor decision making.
Right.
You know, smoking weed and having weed and, you know, doing some things I shouldn't have been doing and got arrested and ended up in the California Youth Authority. Then after that, still an angry young man without guidance and without real direction for my life, I ended up going to death row. I was sentenced to die in the gas chamber May the 4th, 1970. When I got there, I was the youngest person there. I had just turned 20, and Sirhan was there, Charles Manson was there, Romaine Fitzgerald, known as Chip, from the Black Panther Party.
Mm-hmm.
He came shortly after I got there. Though he had caught his case before me, he didn't get to death row until after me. And a good thing was in 1972, the death penalty was declared unconstitutional.
Right.
So all of us that were on death row had our sentences changed from death to life. Life with possibility of parole, and for some, life without possibility of parole. So at that time, a life sentence in California prisons was 7 years to life. After 7 years, you were eligible for parole.
7 years.
So after 7 years, you could go home in 7 years. But the average time people were doing at that time, this is in the 70s, was 13 years and 9 months.
Wow.
I was fortunate. Associate warden by the name of Clem Swaggerty, who also was a coach of the baseball team, ex-Air Force, member of the United States Air Force. He kind of took a liking to me. We developed a friendship, and he went to the parole board with me. Actually took over the parole hearing and got me a 2-year release date after my 7 years. And I did 9 years. I got released December the 4th, 1978. And now every time I go back, I leave the same day. I try to go back and offer encouragement and hope to other people.
Right.
Encourage them to make good use of their time, work on their character, work on learning some skills that they could use when they get out to be gainfully employed, and try to offer a glimmer of hope for people in that bad circumstance, that it's not over. People get out, people have an opportunity to come out and make a contribution to the society, and then we're waiting for them. We're welcoming them.
That's right.
So that's part of what I do on a day-to-day.
Yes. You do outstanding work. Outstanding work.
Great.
I think I met you in DVI.
Right.
At the end. Yeah, I was the clerk.
Yes.
I was the Muslim clerk.
Right.
I met you in DVI at the end, and I was like, you see somebody like, wow. I was like, Quadir Al-Amin, because I had heard so much about you.
Yes.
I never met you. When you came in, I was like, whoa, man. And it was good because, see, when I started my work was to come home.
Yes.
And I'm coming home different from what I was when I went in.
Yes.
And I put work in. I went every day. I put work in. Because my time I was in prison, I was humiliated every day I was in prison. I was miserable. I was humiliated. It wasn't no fun at all. They say sometimes you have fun in prison. Well, I don't understand that. I had no fun. It was miserable. I was humiliated every day to wake up in the cell with another man.
Right.
It's
not a place that you should aspire to go to.
Right.
I also didn't want to get comfortable there.
Right.
Though I did have some pleasurable experiences there. I remember fasting Ramadan in DVI. And after the fast was over, we were fasting in December at that time. We were part of the Nation of Islam. And we didn't fast the regular Ramadan because the leader at that time said we were too new. And we were a baby community, not a full-grown community. So he kind of weaned us into it. And we fasted during December when the days were short, whereas the other might be fasting in August, where the day might last, daylight hours might last 14, 15 hours. We were fasting the short days, so it was easy. And I remember after completing the fast, we had our celebration in the bleachers at Tracy, and I had to acknowledge to myself, I had not experienced that kind of joy in my whole life. It wasn't because of where I was, it's because of what I had just experienced. And I acknowledged to myself, I've never had this much joy in my life. Now, I've had fun, I've got gifts from my family and family reunions and, that kind of stuff, barbecues and picnics, all that. But I never had experienced that level of joy inside me. And I acknowledged that at that point. And I do remember when I first met you. You made a good impression on me. You asked me for a letter, which I wrote.
Yes.
And I wrote subsequent letters thereafter.
Yes, you did.
And you made a good impression on me in terms of You know how in the institutions, one of the things you have to acquire if you don't have it, you have to become a good judge of character
Mm-hmm.
in an instant.
You have to.
You know,
Yes.
because there are some people in there that you
Yeah.
let your guard
Your
down,
life
you're gonna
depends
be a
on it.
victim.
Your life depends on it. Yes.
Right. So I acknowledge that you were a person of good character, and you made a good impression on me. And I welcomed you coming home,
Yes,
and
you
you
did.
come home, you
Yes,
hit
you
the
did.
ground running.
Yes.
Been taking
Yes.
care of business and doing
Yes.
positive things, and engaged in making your contribution back to the society.
Mm-hmm.
And we value you. We're very proud of you
Thank
and
you.
what you're
Thank you.
doing.
Thank you. I
know.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we go in one way, we can either come out the same way if we want to.
Yes.
But majority of people go in for a long period of time. They want to change.
You're right.
Because they know once they get home, it's either you gonna go back to what you know, or you gonna go back to what you learned.
Yeah.
So I came back to what I've learned.
Yeah.
Because I went in, I had it turned off going in,
Right.
and so I grabbed something different coming out, and that's what we have to do. The work that you're doing in the community, you're the imam at the Muslim chapel here in
Muslim community center.
community service in San Francisco,
Yes.
on Mission Street.
Yes.
Okay, and the work that you do there is outstanding. You have a place that need help right now.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and we asking people to help.
Yes.
You know.
Well, one of the things about being in a major city like San Francisco, and I'm sure it's not unlike other places around the country, the economic conditions are changing very fast.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people that have extreme amounts of wealth, and there are people that are out of the wealth acquisition loop, so to speak. So we have homelessness is a big problem in this area. Many of the faith communities are finding themselves not able to keep up with the escalating cost of doing business in San Francisco. Over the past 8 years, we've spent upwards of $560,000 just paying rent, just leasing. And we had aspirations to purchase the building that we're in, and we made an offer. We secured $1.5 million loan. We had that in place. We made an offer to the owners, and the owners countered with $3 million. Wow. They couldn't justify $3 million with any comps that show a property of that size and the condition that it's in as having sold for $3 million, but that's what they asked for. And most recently, they've increased the rent by another $500. So now our rent is $7,250 a month. And it's increasingly difficult for us to sustain ourselves in that particular situation. But we've been providing services to the Muslim community and the community at large in San Francisco since 1958. That's why I said I'm a beneficiary.
Sure.
You know, when I first started being exposed to the teachings of Islam back in 1967, actually before that, but when I directly made a conscious decision to get involved, it was around 1967. Prior to that, my older brother started bringing literature home around 1964. So I would read it, and some of the ideas began to agree with me in terms of a new direction for my life and for what it I wanted to try to do with myself. So I give a whole lot of credit to my faith for empowering me with a different value system, a different belief system, a different work ethic. Though I've always had a good work ethic, my mother and father instilled that in me. I had to do chores, I had to work, I had to go out and hustle. I worked the fields, I picked prunes, I cut grapes. You know, I grew up in Northern California. You could always, get you some new school clothes if you were willing to go out and do some work. We cut lawns, we went and fished and brought the fish back to the neighborhood and sold it and charged a little extra money if we would clean it for the people. So, I've always had some initiative for trying to make things happen that are positive.
So now we trying to get some funds.
Yes.
We trying to get some funds, and we asking the audience, the viewers,
yes,
right, to if they have any kind of way that they can assist you in your need today. because you need this today. You don't need it yesterday. You need it today
That's correct.
and tomorrow. Okay, to call the studio,
Yes.
call me, and let me know if they can assist in any kind of way. We need help right now. We calling out for help, not favors. We calling out for help because we need help right now, and allowing this man to continue his work in San Francisco, in our community, the Muslim community in San Francisco. Whatever. I got $1. We need $1, 50 cents. Whatever you can donate for this cause. This is the great cause. Call the studio and allow those little trinkets or whatever you have to build and allow this community to stay at whole in San Francisco. We need help right now, and we're asking for it.
Yes. And you can also go to our webpage, www.sanfranciscomuslimcommunitycenter.org. You can Google us. We're located at 4760 Mission Street in the Excelsior District of San Francisco. You can mail contributions there if you like. And we need your help. And we've been providing service as a member of the San Francisco community under my leadership since 1984. So, I've seen a lot of things change, but we've been involved in the San Francisco Reentry Council. We've been involved with the Western Addition Crime Abatement Committee. We've been involved with San Francisco Organizing Project, and we worked on issues that impact our community. We want to see safe neighborhoods, clean parks.
Right,
We're
right.
concerned about families being able to sustain themselves in San Francisco. And we also, at our current facility, we have commercial space that we lease out to small businesses as a way to offset our expenses. So we also, if you're interested in a space for your small business venture, contact the San Francisco Muslim Community Center. We have some space available right now.
Right, I come through. I buy things when I come to Juma. I come and buy and leave a little money there, so it can help some kind of way.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And the only way that we're existing is because of sincere, well-meaning people who make contributions to make sure that we're able to keep our doors open. So we appreciate everyone who has supported, and those who will support, we're appreciative. Appreciative of the support that you've given us, and we try to be good stewards. Had we known that we wouldn't have been able to purchase this building, we'd have never went into the lease like we did. But our original desire was we had a lease with an option to buy. We weren't able to exercise that option soon enough, and somebody else purchased the building. Our vision for the future is we're going to save money until we can have some ownership.
Right, there it
We're
is.
not going to pay expensive rents in the future. We're going to save that money until we have accumulated enough to make a down payment on something that will ensure our longevity.
Sure, yeah. Well, inshallah, it's going to work out. Because I tell everybody, I speak of that. They say, Al-Amin, the work that you're doing is great. No, Allah allowed me to do this. Allah allowed me to come on, because by right, I wasn't supposed to come on. Allah allowed me to come home, and I knew I had to come on with a purpose. And so I'm in my community doing work, in the community, because the lives that I'm touching now is going to touch somebody else's life. It's like a ripple effect. It continues to go on. So right now, we just opened up a house. We got another one, inshallah, supposed to open up Thursday. So we got 2 houses now. And we're going to keep on doing it because we got people come home in large numbers, and they need to have a smooth transition back in the community.
They need a safety net.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
they can get on their feet and become gainfully employed.
Exactly.
They need a period of time where they can try, especially some of them have done 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. Some of all of their family support is gone. Their parents have passed away, their relatives. So it's important. And I was involved in that work with the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice here in San Francisco for 23 years with a supportive living program. We contracted with the health department. We provided transitional housing and drug and alcohol treatment program for individuals who had up to 6 months in the program. So it's important work that needs to continue. And we also do some of that same type of work. We still assist people We offer guidance and direction to where resources are, where people coming home can go and access jobs, education, housing. So we still also provide those services.
Right.
I want to speak just for a second
Sure,
to
sure.
some of the billionaires that live in the Bay Area. There are actually 18 billionaires
In the
that
Bay
live
Area?
in the Bay Area. And we welcome your contributions as well. Though we are sustained primarily by working class people who are the striving poor. They're not content with being poor. They're working to have a better economic situation for themselves, but they're primarily poor people. So we appeal to some of you millionaires. You can donate upwards of $30 million to our growth and development and our vision for the future, and you would be amazed at what kind of results you would get from that $30 million. We're asking for $30 million, and with a vision for returning the $30 million to you. We don't want a gift from you.
Right.
We want an investment, and we can secure that investment by developing some housing for people who are much need of that type of housing, as well as some commercial space that would allow us to generate revenues on a daily basis. And we want to make a contribution to the upliftment of the society. We're not just looking for somebody to carry us. Assist us momentarily. A short period of time, give us maybe 5 years to pay that $30 million back, and you'll see that $30 million become $150 million.
That's right. That's right.
And
Sure.
we can do it. We have the vision. We know the players. We know how to network and collaborate with other people who are doing similar kind of things. And we need your assistance.
Sure. Right. Now that's called asking for some help. You know, we have people that have we got people in San. Let me say something. We got people in San Francisco, you know, and it's sad because this city is one of the richest cities it is. You got people sleeping on the street in tents.
Yeah.
Right. We got people coming from Silicon Valley. They buying a whole block in Presidio. They buying 4 or 5 houses and they tearing them down.
Yes.
And they're building compounds in a block. I mean, come on. These houses are houses that have been there for years. There's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. They got the money to tear 2 or 3 houses down and make compounds on a block. I mean, what kind of sense does that make? You got people starving to death in San Francisco, nowhere to live. One of the wealthiest cities in the world.
They call it the city of St. Francis.
That's
who's
crazy.
compassionate.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have to do is we have to appeal to the emotional intelligence of the wealthy.
Yeah.
That you are in a position, you've been invested with resources
Sure.
to make a difference in the world.
Sure.
Don't go down just as a wealthy person who didn't do anything for the community that birthed him, because you came out of the community just like everybody else.
Sure.
If I can quote Denzel, I was watching a speech he gave to a group of graduates at a college. I forget the name of the college. And Denzel Washington said, "You never see a U-Haul truck behind a hearse."
Never.
When people die, nobody's carrying all their goods and their wealth to be buried with them.
That's right.
So invest those resources with people who have a desire and a willingness to make a difference in the world.
Sure.
And let's level the playing field.
Sure.
You know, the playing field's not level.
No, it's not.
It's not a level playing field.
No.
And some people have been enriched at the expense of people who've been in jails and prisons. And now the prison industrial complex, it's on the stock market. There are private prisons
You
that
can
are
buy stock
benefiting
Sure can.
off of unfortunate circumstances that people find themselves in and sometimes put themselves in.
Yes.
Not trying to absolve people from responsibility for their actions. And I paid my debt to my society, and I'm still paying on that debt by serving others, and going back into the institutions and trying to take a voice of reason and hopefulness to the people who are there, who will be returning to our communities soon.
That's right. They're returning. Well, I was kidnapped. I was kidnapped.
Yeah.
They took me from my land. They kidnapped me, and they know they did.
Yeah.
And they're reluctant to give me compensation for it. But I got my gloves on. I refuse to take them off.
Right, right.
Inshallah, one day, sooner or later, they're going to give it to me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not going to stop pounding on the door. I'm trying to
Right.
get mine. But, you know, we have to continue doing our work. We can't stop. You know, we're in a city. You know, I was born and raised in the city. And it's a shame that, you know, I come here and I see the things that I see. People look at me like, what you doing here? I've been all my life. Where you come from? You know, I mean, I walk down the street sometimes, people look at me like, where you come from? I used to play in the streets. I used to ride my bike, coasters, in the streets.
Right.
I used to go down to fishing waters and put my crab nest in the water and catch crabs. You can't do that no more.
Right.
You can't enjoy your city no more.
Right.
Because if you go down there with a crab net now, they're going to take you to jail.
Yeah.
Because the tourists are down there.
Yeah.
They don't want you to mess with the tourists.
They don't want to hurt the business.
Exactly. They don't want to hurt the business. They don't want to mess their money up. But I was born and raised. I can't do the things. My children, my grandchildren rather, they can't grow up and do the things that I used to do. And that's sad. You know, this is my home. This is my community. Yeah. And we can't do the things that we used to do. But, you know, it's you know, life goes on and things change. Sometimes things change back to where it used to be, you know.
Well, we can make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, we can help to create and cultivate a different climate in the city.
Sure.
That's part of what we're working for. The faith community in San Francisco is remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of understanding that we have with each other, and there's a welcomingness.
Sure.
So we want to see that go further. And there's harmony. We don't have a lot of conflict with each other.
Right.
So
right.
we want that to spread into the neighborhoods.
Right.
We want the public to have that same understanding and appreciation for the differences that we have.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I value San Francisco. You know, I've been blessed. I have a wife that was born and raised in San Francisco, and she accepted me into her life when I came home from prison, and she was working at Bank of America, and I had that little $200 gate money and no identification, and I had to cash that check because I needed it. I needed to trim my beard and get a haircut and get some, you know, cosmetics and things, and I explained to her that if she would get the approval for me to cash that check, when I was doing better, I would come back and take her to lunch. And fortunately for me, maybe 6 weeks later, I was working at the Ecumenical Association for Housing in San Rafael on 4th Street, and she was working down the street at Bank of America, and I was able to take her to lunch. I didn't have enough money for 2 lunches, so I drank tea and watched her enjoy her lunch.
Yeah.
And we're still together 41 years later, and 8 grandchildren, and so I'm very blessed to have a piece of San Francisco that I go home to every night.
That's right. Well, you can't ask for nothing no better than that out of San Francisco, really. But I want to thank you for coming on the show this evening.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here with you. I'm glad for your success and expect more from you.
Yes.
Glad your show is on the air and that you're doing the things that you do to give voice to people that may not have a voice otherwise.
Yes.
And they have something to say and have something to offer.
Yes.
You know, and we're here as people, formerly incarcerated people, but we are human beings.
Right.
And we believe that human beings have a redeemable value.
That's right.
You know, they have cans and plastic bottles. All those things have redeemable value.
Yes.
They don't just throw them away.
Yes.
Now, if you can see the value in a piece of plastic or a piece of aluminum, you should also see the value in human beings who have a reuse value. What they did may have caused them to have a keenness of vision and perception that they wouldn't have had otherwise, and they can bring that back to the community and help to make the world a better place. I believe that's what's going to happen.
Sure. You know, ma'am, I was in Old Folsom State Prison, and Imam Dawood Salam.
Yeah,
that's my imam.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Yeah, good man, beautiful man.
Yeah.
And he used to always tell me, Al-Amin, everybody's salvageable.
Yeah.
I said, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. He's always, Al-Amin, everybody's salvageable. I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. So years later, I was in another prison, and he had moved, you know, and I started seeing things. I said, well, maybe he was right. You know, everybody's salvageable if they want to be.
Yeah, that's right.
If they want to be. You got to be salvageable if you want to be.
Right.
And so you gave me his hookup, his phone number, and I called him.
Right.
I told him, Doc, well, you know, some used to say, everybody's salvageable. He said, yeah, he laughed about it. Yeah, I remember that. He used to always say, no. I said, I believe that. You know, and he laughed about it. He said, because everybody's selfish if they want to be.
Yes.
You know,
that's
you
right.
have to want to be what you want to be in order to be that.
Right.
You know, so yeah, everybody's selfish if they want to be.
Yeah, I was on the blog this morning on Ear Hustle. I'm gonna give them a little plug, and they asked me a question. They said, "Well, how did you respond to being in such a negative environment?" I said, "Yeah, it's a negative environment, but it's also can be a positive environment, depending on what you do in the environment."
Mm-hmm.
So there were a whole lot of things I avoided in that environment. I didn't get involved in the drugs. I didn't get involved in the gambling. I didn't get involved in the gangs. I didn't get involved in the prison politics. I focused on working on myself, trying to learn something. I learned the trade. I started going to college. I'd already been going to college before I went to prison, but I continued my education and I stayed focused on learning and working with people who also wanted to better themselves. And you know, it doesn't have to be a negative.
No, it doesn't.
You know,
It
I
doesn't.
wouldn't sleep in the bed. I slept on the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get comfortable in prison.
Right.
I didn't go to child hall when everybody else went to the child hall. When they went to the child hall. That's when I took my shower, so I could shower by myself.
Sure.
I didn't like showering with
But
50 other
yeah.
men.
Yeah.
You know, so it was privacy and it was more security because
Sure.
a whole lot of things happen when you ain't got nothing but a towel and some flip flops on.
That's right.
That's a time when violence takes
Yeah,
place.
that's
So,
right. Yeah,
you know, you
yeah.
learn how to navigate through that negative environment.
Sure. Sure.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then try to come out of it with your sanity.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, and learn how to seek peace even in all of that depressive, dehumanizing experiences.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
Or some of it was dehumanizing.
Yes.
But
a
you
great
have
deal
to
of it.
keep hope and reach out to power, force, belief that's bigger than all of
Bigger
that.
than-
So
yeah.
faith is very important.
That's
in
right.
those
It falls into
situations.
place. You can't do it alone.
Right.
You cannot do it alone. So I want to thank you again, Brother Imam, for coming on the show. We're gonna bring you back.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna
Thank
bring
you. I'm
back.
glad you're here.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm happy for your progress.
Yes, sir.
And,
Thank you.
You know, we're gonna keep on keeping on. as they
Continue
say.
doing it. Keep
That's
on.
right.
Keep the gloves on. Don't take
That's
them off.
right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right. That's
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show this evening. Thank you for our guests coming on the show. You can watch our show every Saturday night at 7 o'clock on Channel 29. Or either you can go on YouTube, type in the Wendell Al-Amin James Show. All my interviews come up. You can look at them as many times as you want to. So Saturday night, 7 o'clock on Channel 29, Wendell Al-Amin James Show. Thank you and have a good evening.
All right.
All right.